What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So I've seen a lot recently about Kwon, about Terra Luna Classic, and about him potentially saving Terra Luna Classic. And honestly, if I think about it, right, it would be great to be able to see somebody that technically has a net worth of multiple millions of dollars to put some of those millions of dollars to kind of save what once was. But what's the likelihood of that happening? I don't know. I wouldn't say that there's a strong chance of that happening with what he has built with Luna 2. I feel like giving up on Luna 2 at this moment would also put those people now in a situation where it's like, okay, um, you're now giving up on us to go back to this. Like, that doesn't make sense. Um, but honestly, if he had the chance to do it, like, would he do it? So I kind of want to go through this process, relive some sort of process in my head on like what he would decide to do if he went back, right? And what could possibly happen within Do Kwon potentially coming back to save Terra Luna Classic in a way. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. Also, make sure you check out any of the links that are down below. It does help out the channel. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Patreon. Those links are also in the description. Now, don't forget about my Rumble. If you guys want to follow me on Rumble, feel free to do that. If you already are watching on Rumble, I appreciate you guys a lot for, just showing your support and coming over to this platform. Thank you guys. But anyways, let's talk about Terra Luna Classic overall. If we look at Terra Luna Classic, just to give you a little bit of an update on where we are, we're seeing a green day today. Terra Luna Classic is up to 0.00008181. It's up 5% or almost 6%. Seeing the volume that is lower than previous, we're seeing it down 18% at $37.8 million worth of volume. Volume to market cap ratio looks pretty decent. Overall circulating supply, total supply, that's something we do like to focus on to understand whether we are going to see those burns and what levels we have to really get to in order to see those burns. Now, over the last 7 days, we've seen Terra Luna Classic that is up 19%. In the last month, it's up 42%. And in the last year, it's down 54% from these higher points where we have a drop zero. Now, we're hopeful to get back to this drop zero level, but not because of Do Kwon. So to get to that kind of conversation, there's been a lot of conversation right now around Do Kwon and him potentially coming back and, saving Terra Luna Classic overall. I honestly don't know how that would physically be possible unless he was putting money into it, like injecting money into buying it and selling or burning those positions, right? That's the only way that I can really see it, unless he's literally bringing in connections to decrease the supply with active movement and whatnot. But then again, as you look at something like that, he would have to physically leave behind Terra 2.0 in order to do that. I mean, he wouldn't have to, but it would be the thought process like, oh, you're going back to this and making sure that that is the bigger thing. Because it seemed like what you did before was you took this piece of paper that was Terra Luna Classic and you crumbled it up and said, all right, let's start over. You threw it in the trash, but it so happened to miss. Somebody else found it. And now this community is really pushing it strong to where it potentially can be worth more than Terra 2.0 in the form of market cap. And we've seen it worth more than Terra 2.0 for a number of months, going on, well, over a year at this point. But Terra 2.0 has been making a move, and it's bringing up this thought process of Do Kwon taking over. But let's go back. Let's backtrack all the way to where Terra Luna Classic does crash. What happens, right? Terra Luna Classic crashes. Do Kwon basically gives up, throws it away, moves on to this next project, right? What if he didn't do that? What if you rewind and he didn't decide to go, okay, let's move on to this next project? What would have happened? Well, honestly, I think he could have saved Terra Luna Classic overall by showing that he believed in what you could do to save it, right? I bet he thought that Terra Luna Classic would die and nobody would trust Terra Luna Classic. But it could also be a point to where many people might have not trusted if he was still involved in the project. But since he distanced himself, it now looked like it was open for the rest of the community, the rest of the world to kind of take the reins and turn it into something bigger. So would it have got as big, as strong as it did if Do Kwon decided to stay on board and not abandon the project overall, right? Maybe it wouldn't have gotten as big because of that. So that's still something we're speculating. But let's say it did. Let's say it was going to make that move and Do Kwon was still on board. What he could have done with all the connections that he had at that point was not only, look to get this introduced to everywhere and get it, back on Coinbase or on Coinbase and all this other stuff, right? But more or less, just try and find different areas and different avenues to recover the position back to what it once was, right? In the form of price, in the form of use case, in the form of the repeg, the algorithm, all of that stuff that's there. I think he could have done so much with that. But right now, we don't necessarily know exactly what truly would have happened. I believe that it would have been strong. I believe that he would have been able to at least burn off a lot of this supply and he would understand what needs to be done. But I truly think within his mindset, he thought, hey, you know what? They wouldn't continue with that. If we decide to make them whole with this over here, we can figure that out. I'm sure he just thought that this was dead, that it would never come back. And the fact that it came back to $1 billion market cap shows how strong this community really was. So what's your opinion? Do you think that Do Kwon could come back and save Terra Luna Classic? Do you think that it's more or less for the community to save? Because what we've been doing is, I think we've kind of been flying blind here. And I think it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Because if we are flying blind, right? If we have this position that we just can't figure out, where to go because we have no path forward, right? It makes it super difficult for us to see that end goal. We see the end goal of $1. We see the end goal of what price points they are, but we want to see the end goal of the overall chain and how healthy that chain is. You know what I mean? So if we had him here, or we had somebody that was truly leading rather than having this kind of team that's in place and multiple teams that we're trying to find to put in place, if we have him to implement, whatever the right team would be, I honestly think it would be more of a success then. No offense to the people that are in place and what they're doing right now. I feel like we would have been better off if Do Kwon would have been in there and, kind of directing and delegating what he believed the project should, kind of move forward in order to survive. Because I think we could have gotten it there. And with his help, we could have done that as well. Now, do I think that this is going to happen, that we're going to see Do Kwon come back and be the savior of Terra Luna Classic and USTC? I can't say that I do. But anything possibly, it could happen. It could really happen. But I really don't think that that's the case. And I think it's going to be up to the community on whether we see this fully succeed, whether we see this get back to normal in the form of market cap, in the form of use case, in the form of price, and just everything that applies with it. So I want to know your guys' opinion on what you feel about this. If Do Kwon decides to come back, will you accept him with open arms? Or are you not going to accept it and be like, look, this is a community-led position and we're not going to accept you, right? I want to know what your opinion would be. And do you believe that if he started where in this project or staying with this project in the first place, do you believe that it would have more success than it does now? Do you feel like we would have a path forward because we would have one person kind of leading the ship rather than 5 different people saying, no, the land was this way. We're in the middle of the sea and they're like, land is this way, land is that way, land is that way, land is that way. Who do you follow, right? You have so many different areas to go. And then one person's telling you the land is back there. So where do you go, right? That's kind of what we're dealing with right now. But if you have one person that's leading the ship, eventually we see land. Right? We get to a point where we're going, and eventually we find land, whether that's in the Antarctica or it's over in North America or it's in Europe. It doesn't matter where it is. Like, we end up finding land at some point in some area. So I don't know. Hopefully that analogy works. But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for more of these videos. Also, make sure you check out some of the links down below. It does help out the channel. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Patreon, Those links are also in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to my Rumble channel or follow me on Rumble. That link is also in the description. And if you're watching on Rumble, again, I thank you. I'm going to get out of here and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.